You've got ideas, you've got ambition, you've got no time, or so you think. I'm Marissa Lonick, and I help busy moms with big dreams and no time. Join me each week as I dive into time management strategies, goal setting and achieving framework, and inspiring guests who are juggling mom life, work life, fill in the blank life. Dreams don't work unless you do, and just because you're a mom doesn't mean you can't still make it happen, whatever it means to you. Welcome to the Mama Work It podcast. Hey, mamas. Welcome back to another amazing episode of the Mama Work It podcast. We are in 2025. I am so excited. I hope you are too. And I knew I had to kick this year off with today's special guest. Her name is Maria Maldonado Smith. She is a good friend of mine and just the person you want kicking off your new year. Okay. She is the Chief Empowerment Officer of MMS Consulting Firm and creator of the Executive Vision Imagery Program. After 18 years of award-winning success in the corporate space, working as a sales leader for Fortune 500 companies across 3 different industries, Maria brings her unparalleled combination of experience to her proprietary process and interactive training, helping companies understand the neuroscience and benefits of goal setting for their employees. At age 9, she set goals to become the first college graduate in her family and to earn the title of Miss Kentucky, both of which she did, you guys. She graduated from the University of Kentucky with a degree in political science. She won the title of Miss Kentucky, and she competed in Miss America in 2005. Her proprietary process has been an essential practice in achieving these goals and many more throughout her career and personal life. Maria has performed twice at Carnegie Hall. She sang the national anthem for an audience of over 120,000 people. She and her husband of 19 years raised their 3 children in a loving and encouraging environment where anything is possible when you set a goal and create a vision for it. Ooh, Maria, I have chills just reading that bio about you. I know you personally. I know how amazing and impactful this is. And I am so excited that you're sharing it with us on the Mama Work It podcast this week. Thank you.
Thank you. Oh my goodness. Thank you so much. I'm so excited to be here with you. I know feels like we had to move heaven and earth to make this happen right here before the holidays, but I'm so glad that we did because it's going to kick off the new year in 2025. We're so close to 2025. And yeah, I can't thank you enough for taking the time to have
and
this
as we air this, it is 2025.
Yes,
so I'm ready. Let's go.
Yes,
LFG. All right.
Absolutely.
So Maria, I know you, but maybe our listeners don't know you. So tell us just a quick background of who you are and about your journey as a mom, as a working mom, and most importantly, as this goal getter out there.
Yeah. Well, I say, I'm a dreamer at heart. I'm just someone who has always wanted to create in their life, whatever that is. I'm just always creating, whether that's creating, a safe environment for my children, a safe space, whether that's creating beauty in my life through art, through singing, through dance, through different things that I love to do and I'm passionate about, or whether that's creating a pathway for this business, which, is definitely unique and different. I mean, I literally help people craft their vision. And I've worked with corporations and in now the nonprofit space and the government space and now working with individuals. But I love focusing on just my own vision and how that is unfolding, the vision that I have with my family, with my husband. And I would say that it probably started when I was in the 3rd grade. I had a teacher who asked us to get out a piece of paper and write down our 3 goals. And that just something in that exercise clicked with me at a very young age. And I realized, okay, so if I write this down, and I transferred it onto a Post-it note after school that day at my mom's office, and I stuck it on my mirror, and it was there until I was a senior in high school. And I looked at that Post-it note every day for 10 years. So you do stuff like that. I mean, it's the same thing. It's we talk about with affirmations or anything. If you're constantly looking, it's you see it, you believe it. It starts to make that connection. And there's so much science around that. And once I started digging deeper into it as I got older and realized that I'm creating all of these neural networks in my brain that are connecting to say, man, if you really want to do something, write it down, post it or create a vision board for it and look at it every day, make small steps, and like it happens. Believe it or not, it happens. So I think when people talk about manifesting, a lot of time people think, well, that's really woo, and oh, so we just throw it out there to the universe. Well, yes, but there's a lot of action that's driven behind that in order to make it happen. And so I think that being in a corporate space was a very positive experience for me from a goal setting perspective. I loved the discipline. I loved the I don't want to say rigidity, but I loved having a routine to follow. That if we start the month here, we need to end the month here, and this is how we're going to get there. And I liked that. It definitely played into a lot of my strengths and as a goal setter. But then when it was time to leave corporate, it was time. Like, I mean, I know I've shared this story with you, just had that moment, and it was time to go. And it was time for me to start my own business. And I knew it within my heart. I'd ignored the feeling for years. And then we finally made a big life transition where you kind of do everything at once. You change jobs, you change literally, homes, putting 3 kids in 3 different schools. I know you're very, very familiar with that feeling. And so we did that. And I think along with that transition, it was just an overwhelming moment for me. And then on top of it, layer on kind of this epiphany that I had where I was like, okay, now you're supposed to go help people set their goals for life. Like you're supposed to go do this. So it's interesting. So that's kind of a roundabout way of how I started and got to where I am.
Yeah. I love that this started when you were a kid too. And I want to ask, because I bet you remember, what were those 3 goals that you wrote down?
Yeah, yeah. And so some of them were in my bio. One was to graduate college because I am the daughter of an immigrant from Argentina who had the equivalent of an 8th grade education. And so education was very important. My dad was, he wasn't um, like graduated. He was a very intelligent man. He was very smart. He had a quick mind for math. He was phenomenal with horses, and so he made a career out of the horse racing industry, and that's what actually brought him to Kentucky, which is where I grew up. So I wanted to graduate college because it was always made very important to me. Very stressed in my family. And then the second was I wanted to be Miss Kentucky. I think I wrote I wanted to be Miss Kentucky and Miss America was like a 2-part goal to that one. And I'd always been watching. I'd been watching Miss America and the Miss Kentucky pageant with my mom for as long as I could remember. And I want to say that at the time that this exercise had happened, Miss America was always like around September, around that, and that's like about when my teacher had brought this assignment to us. So it was like fresh on my mind, and I'm like, I wrote down I wanted to be Miss Kentucky, I want to be Miss America. And the third was I kind of struggled with this. And I don't know that I did at the time, but like looking back, I'm like, I've tried to reflect on that moment because I remember a lot about that moment particularly. And not that it's because I've been speaking about this moment, honestly, for the past 20 years. I used this in my talk when I became Miss Kentucky because I did accomplish that goal and I graduated college. But the third one that I wrote was I wanted to be a United States Senator. And, you try to reflect back and you're like, why was I thinking that at the time? Like as a 3rd grader, like why was I thinking that I wanted to be a United States Senator? Like, did I really? And I think there's various reasons. One, I think my dad watched a lot of we watched a lot of the news, watched a lot of C-SPAN, to better learn English and to understand, how laws and things. And so he was he was more politically minded. And so I think that probably played into it. My mother has always been very active and more, activism based and politically based and a part of a lot of PACs. And so probably just that environment growing up between, having parents that were more politically minded kind of led me to think, I'll become a United States Senator. So,
Well, number one, there's always time. But number two, I think all of us, when we think back to what we wanted to be when we grew up,
Mhm.
especially at, 8 years old or 9 years old, it's probably quite different than where we ended up. And I think it's just as you learn and grow, like life is a journey and an evolution. And as you learn and grow about yourself, you might realize like, that's actually not what I'm totally passionate or interested in, or that's maybe not where my area of my zone of genius is or my area of expertise is. So I think you probably just like pivoted and went right into the sales and corporate life and successful space in a different area where you really shone. not necessarily that you didn't like accomplish this goal, but like, you're like, this isn't really the goal that I necessarily want. Right.
Wanted, right, exactly. I use it as an opportunity when I work with really anyone. I was starting to say when I work with youth, when I work with children, school age children, to let them know that it's okay to change your mind. I mean, the
Yes.
point of us evolving and developing as humans is that we grow. And if we are really spending time to think about what it is we want to create, then that might lead us in a different path. And that's okay. I think sometimes we're afraid of that. We're afraid by those feelings of change, because so much societally is like, you kind of pick something and you decide and you go down that path. And I just
Mm-hmm.
believe entirely differently. Like I just think that if tomorrow I decided that, I wanted to create, just a greater passion for something, like that's my ability to go do that and seek that out. And as long as I'm willing to learn and to spend the time and to commit to it and fiercely honor that goal and that commitment, then yeah, what's stopping me? So that's kind of how I feel. But I also paint that picture too for anyone in corporate, anyone in a nonprofit, anyone in a government space, and individual clients as well. We have so much more control than we allow ourselves to think that we do about the future that we create.
So true. I love that. And we can always kind of reinvent ourselves and
Mm-hmm.
change paths. Yeah.
Yep.
All right, Maria. So you've heard it before. I know we're probably all hearing it ad nauseum right now, like new year, new you.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
What do you feel like are some of the pitfalls you see when it comes to like the quote unquote New Year's resolutions or New Year's goals?
Mhm.
Because this is the time of year a lot of people will dive into that mentality.
Mhm. Yes. I do not believe in New Year's resolutions. I do believe in intentions and I do believe in goals. I don't believe that the new year is the time that you have to like all of a sudden proclaim that this is a new year, new you. Sometimes, I mean, we're just trying to recover from the holidays, especially if you are a mom, if you are a working mom, if and we're just trying to like get our bearings. Like, okay, so it's a new year. Like, that's okay. I have an event at the end of um, January, and I purposely put it at the end of the month because I need women to like think for the first 4 weeks. Like, what is it that I even want to do? And the reason is because studies show that 80% of people give up on their New Year's resolutions by February, 62% give up within the first month. So only 8% of people are actually making it through the end of the year on their New Year's resolutions. And there is a myriad of reasons, but most notably, we try to overhaul our entire life in one moment, in one sitting. We write down this massively long to-do list. We make goals extremely broad, and we give ourselves little to no time to actually accomplish those goals. And so that's why we get frustrated with ourselves, and it's like new year, new me. Well, no, I'm the same me. I am just it's a new year. I'm the same me. I'm just trying to now figure out what are some goals that I can commit to and honor in this new year that will make me a better version of me, of the person that I already am. I still am going to create something new, and I'm going to step into that. I'm going to honor that commitment. And then by the end of 2025, by the end of this year, I will have done this.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's my feeling on kind of this whole new year, new me idea and New Year's resolutions. I think we need to set intentions and really lead our life more intentionally, and we need to understand why we're doing what we're doing. If you want to get healthy, that's great, but why are you getting healthy? What does it mean to you? Because if you just want to be skinny, well, then that's a totally different mentality than someone who truly needs to lose 50 pounds so that they don't have to go on medication, to that could potentially lead to more life altering impacts and effects. So you got to define what healthy means to you. You got to get really clear on what that means. And that means way more than just, I want to get healthy. It's truly defining and outlining and understanding what are the steps it's going to take for me to get healthy in the new year. And that's just one example.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. And I love this so much and couldn't agree more because I've been like I've been in that new year, new you mindset in the past, and all those years that I adapted like all those things, those ambitious goals from Jan 1, those are the years that I didn't hit that stuff, right? Because I wanted to go too fast, too soon, too much change all at once. I couldn't agree more with this sort of like holistic approach to the entire year with when it comes to goals, right? Like you're not trying to do it all on the 1st of January or even in the month of January. But if you have these big visions, these big goals, and you sort of like map them out throughout the year, it's way more attainable, one small change at a time, one small habit at a time, one additional thing that you're doing or one thing you're not doing at a time, because it's so much more sustainable. And that's where I've seen the most success with my own goals year after year. So like, I love that you're saying that, because I feel like I'm doing it right if you're saying that's the way to do it.
Yes. No, you are. And what you do balances it so nicely with time management, because that's really a big key. One of the most often cited reasons why people give up or abandon their goals is because they have this all or nothing mentality. And then when life hits, they lose all ability to redirect. And because they have sold themselves on this all or nothing mentality that like, if I don't do this every single day for an hour at the gym, like, and then the first hiccup that happens, they're like, whoa, like it throws them completely off kilter. It's because they haven't actually assessed how are they going to manage their time properly to plan for this. And we say it all the time, but it is really true. And when you employ it in your life, it works. Consistency is key. Like it is all about consistency. I don't need, and I would say most people would say, we don't need to be working out 7 days a week. If you want to be active 7 days a week, absolutely. But when you have gone from working out no days to committing to 7 days, that's a big jump. And now you're saying that you're going to do that every single week without fail, day in and day out with no issues. That is not realistic. And so I think a lot of what we've convinced ourselves is that if I can't be all in, then it's just not the goal for me right now. And then we start and we stop and we do it so many times over, because then we find a stretch of time where we say, oh my gosh, I can actually commit. I can commit now. I've got the time. But it's not about, and you talk about this a lot too, it's not about finding the time like when you have this big stretch. It's saying, is this enough of a priority to me? Is this goal so important to me to achieve that I'm going to make the time no matter what happens throughout the week, throughout the day? And listen, life happens. There's going to be a day that you set the time and stuff still happens, right? Because that's life. But you have a much better chance of accomplishing that goal when you know how to pivot and you know how to redirect, and you can move it to another day because you've managed your time around that goal. You've made it a priority.
Preach. Yes.
Well, listen, I'm learning from you. So
likewise, Mama. Yes. All right. Let me ask you this. Do you feel like there are any prerequisites when it comes to goal setting? Like anything we should be doing before we set the goals?
100%. Yes. I always start with 3 questions. So I'm big on vision boarding. I mean, that's really how I kind of came to this. Was I started vision boarding a long time ago, and it has been incredibly powerful, impactful. But the vision board really comes at the very end of the entire process that I have. When people, when corporations, when nonprofit groups, whoever, if anyone spends time with me, their vision board is going to come last. That is your certificate of completion. That is the thing you get to hang on your wall and stare at every day and say, I did that. These are the goals that I'm working towards. So to back it up, if someone has never made a vision board, what I tell them to do, how I tell them to start, is answer 3 questions. And I'll share them with you because I think they're a great way. If you've never made a vision board, if you've never thought about your goals, you can't make a goal if you don't know what you want. And so you got to get really clear on what it is that you want. So the first question is, what do I want? If we can answer that question, we are already so far surpassing people, the majority of people in this world who have no clue what it is that they want. And the people who know what they want get what they want. So I look at it from that perspective. If you know what you want, you get what you want, and you have a clearer picture. Because here's the thing: when you know what you want, you also know what you don't want. So by answering that question of what is it that I want, you're going to start yourself off on a path to success. The second thing is, who do I want to become? Like throughout life, as we evolve, as we change, as we grow, as we develop, like we should be striving to become someone better than ourselves. Maybe it's that we want to become better every day. Maybe it's that we want to become someone who brings calm and peace and joy into their life, someone who has gratitude. Maybe it's that you want to become, and I'm going to use an example from a recent workshop because I loved this man's description of what he wanted to become. He said, I want to become like the driver of my own future. I want to become someone who is a landlord who then can provide housing and a safe haven for people who need it. Because he was thinking from a business perspective, but he's like, but who I want to become in that process is a good person who is fair, who is equitable. And like, I just thought that was so beautiful because it's like he was so clear on what it was that he wanted, which was to build, generational wealth for his family, for, his future generations. He wanted to build something that was provided prosperity for him and his family and his children and their children. And then who he wanted to become in the process was a really good, equitable, caring, genuine person through providing a safe space and a safe haven for someone. I thought that was just a beautiful way to kind of describe what that was. And then what he wanted to create. That's the third question. What do you want to create? Because we're constantly creating. We're constantly creating our life. And he wanted to create that opportunity for his children and for his family. Those are the three questions. That's how you start. And then your goals flow from there because we all have something that we want to achieve in our life. And we can build from answering those three questions.
So good. Yeah. So if you are listening and it's a safe space to do it, write those questions down. If it's not a safe space to do it, come back and re-listen, write those questions down.
Yes.
And go journal about those. Go really explore what that means to you. Because like Maria said, if you don't know what your goals are, how can you possibly achieve them? So love it. All right. Last question before we dive into some random ones. You talked about this a little bit earlier of kind of just like falling off the bandwagon. How do you avoid that? Or what should you do if that happens?
Well, first, if it happens, don't panic. It's like, don't panic. We can get back up. We can start again. But oftentimes if we find ourselves consistently falling off, it's because we haven't created like a viable path to success. I always say we have to set ourselves up for success. We can't just like shoot from the hip and hope that, everything falls in place. Some people are like incredibly gifted in that way and they just can, but the majority of us, 99% of us, we have to follow a process. We have to follow something that procedurally will help us get there. And I'm a big fan of writing things down. I'm a big fan of habit tracking because the way I look at it is the goal is like up here. The goal is like the big thing that you want to accomplish. But essentially what you're trying to do is build really positive habits that help you change the way you operate, that really can be mirrored to help you accomplish any goal that you have in the future. So that because you apply the same process to it. All right, I'm going to track this goal. I'm going to see what my success is with it. I always say this is like when you're trying something new or you're trying to work towards a goal, like give yourself a lot of runway, give yourself grace to figure it out, like see what works for you, but you got to track the habit and you got to do it on paper. I love digital apps. I think they're great, but there's just something to be said. Scientifically, the chemicals in our brain just get a different response when we put pen or pencil to paper and physically X off something that we're working towards achieving. I have I have them here because I'm actually figuring it out. So this is one of my weekly ones. This is one that I actually printed out for a group. It's a habit tracker and it just literally has 1 through 31 on it. It's a freebie. I can send it to you, Marissa, if you want. You can download it. Please use it. You can create them on your own, but they're just great for tracking your positive habits you're trying to build that lead up to the goal. Because I would say that when we fall off, it's typically because we haven't outlined what are the positive habits that I'm actually going to have to set in order to accomplish this goal. We've got the big goal up here, but then we're like, well, now what? Like, now where do we go? I want to get healthy, but like, what am I going to have to do? Well, track your water intake, track how many steps you're taking a day, and X that off. If you've never taken 10,000 steps in a day, don't start off trying to take 10,000 steps. You're going to set yourself up for failure. You might be able to hit that one day, but then you're going to be really hard on yourself the next day when you only got in 5,500. But if you have only been taking 3,500 steps a day, 5,500 is a big accomplishment. So work your way up and give yourself time to do that, because then over a period of time, you start to see your success and your progress. And it actually commits you more to the goal, because that action is driving motivation to keep you going.
So good. Yes. And I am totally on the same page with you with like the pen to paper aspect of this. I will share a quick story of how this worked for me and how much everything that I did aligns with exactly what you're saying.
Yeah.
So like, gosh, probably about a little more than a year ago, I really wanted to get in like good shape because I was turning 40 in 2024. And I was like, I want to be in really good shape. I want to feel like really good when I turn 40. Okay. When did I start really committing to like, because I was exercising, but I was like falling off here and there. Like I wasn't
Yeah.
that serious right then and there. Okay. I was like doing it, but not doing it. I gave myself a lot of runway. I started October 1 of the previous year. So like 9 months before I turned 40. Okay. So I was like, I want to give myself a lot of space to make this happen. I had one of those habit accountability tools, taped it up on my wall, was Xing every time I was working out. I committed to working out, I think like 5 times a week, but these were not, you guys, I'm just going to be real. These weren't like hour-long gym workouts. These were like sometimes 20 minutes Pilates, 20-minute YouTube of weightlifting, like what was sustainable for me to commit to during that time. And I had been working out like, but I wasn't committed to like a 5-day a week routine. Okay. So this was not that far off from what I was doing, but still stepping it up, leveling it up. So love that you said that. And then I tracked it. I committed to like a 90-day plan, like basically through the end of the year. And what happened was when the new year started, I already had this habit. So I didn't have to like go guns a blazing into like this crazy workout routine that my body wasn't used to.
Mm-hmm.
I could keep it as is. I could level up from there, but I was feeling so good even after the 90 days. And I was able to like continue that for the 6 months till I turned 40. So like, I love that you said all these tips of like, give yourself the runway, write things down. I also think the habit accountability is so good because we have so much decision fatigue, especially as moms, like how many decisions we make a day, not just for ourselves, but for everyone else. If it is clearly there that like you have to do a 20-minute workout 5 days a week, like the decision is made for you. Like literally all you got to do is like turn on the YouTube or like figure out what you're going to put the timer on, whatever that looks like to you, and make it happen. So these are incredible tips. And I will tell you, as Maria will probably tell you, because she's seen this with dozens, maybe hundreds of clients, like this shit works. Okay. It's like really simple and it works. You can so do it.
Yes, it does. It really does work, and you can do it. Exactly. You can do it. And that's why I love the combination of setting the goal and tracking that for accountability and then following it up with the time management piece, because it's so important. And like you said, we create these larger than they need to be ideas about our goals, that it's going to take too much time, that we don't have the time. And a lot of it is that we're afraid to commit the time, because we're afraid what happens if we don't hit the goal in the time frame.
Yes.
Who cares?
Yes.
So we didn't hit it in the time frame. I'm not trying. Did I set a time frame for you? No. We set these internal parameters that no one externally really gives a crap about. It's like if it takes you 6 months to do something that you wanted to accomplish in 3, well, it took you 6 months. Okay, who cares? We don't just give up on the goal because we didn't accomplish it in 3 months. We keep going. Like you said, you already had that pattern, that habit. You planned for it. You created the plan for it. You prioritized it in your life. On average, for positive habits we're trying to build, it takes about 66 days. I know we love to tell people it takes 21 to 28 days, but if we're truly going to create a habit in our life, it takes on average about 66 days to create and solidify that habit. But the kicker is that day 22, day 29, day 67, we can still make a choice to not follow through on that, which is why I believe that these habits that we form are a lifelong practice. It's something that we have to incorporate all the time. I have done the programs. I've done the water challenges. I've completed the 75 hard. I've done the 90-day thing. I've done all of the things. And let me tell you, they're great. They're wonderful. They remind me of what I'm capable of. But I have to make a very conscious effort to continue to follow through with that in my life every day. Just because and I've been a part of all of those types of programs. So it is a constant effort. It is a lifetime spent of reminding ourselves of our why and our that we're worth it. Because if it were that easy, everyone would have a six pack. Everyone would be, benching what they wanted. We'd all be running marathons. We'd be doing every single thing that we wanted to do, which is why it's not easy work. And when clients come to me, that's why they work with me typically for 6 months to a year at a time, because it's not a quick fix. I am not a quick fix. Your goals aren't a quick fix. And if that's how you're looking at them, which is what most people look at them, I know we've kind of been circling around this health and fitness because it is the number one goal that people, one, put on their vision board, and two, that people just plan for every year. Got to get healthy, got to lose the weight, got to do that. We carry this baggage from one year to the next, so we've brought it in from 2024 into 2025. And now this, all of a sudden, we're going to literally apply the same thing again and hope that it sticks. Well, newsflash, unless we're doing something different, unless we start to change that up and do like what you did, and level up, but decide on what those levels mean. You got to plan for what those levels are. You can't go from 0 to hero and expect that you're just going to make this triumphant, success in 4 weeks time. And by the end of January, you're going to be, 25 pounds lighter and have carved out, this nutritional pathway to your future health success and doing all the things. If you do, that's amazing. But the majority of us, especially of us working moms, doesn't work that way.
Yeah, because we can't just push aside everything else in life and make it our only priority, right? We still have kids to feed, a home to take care of, soccer practice to drive to, a job to do. We have all these other hats we're wearing. So it's not like we can laser focus on this one thing only, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. All right. So good. All comes down to these decisions we're making each and every day. I love it. Maria, thank you so much. Before we wrap up, I do want to hop into our lightning round where I'm going to ask you just some random, fun, personal questions, just so our listeners can get to know you a little bit better. Are you ready?
Yes.
Okay. If you could go on vacation tomorrow, anywhere in the world, where would it be and why?
I would go to Greece, and I would go to all the Greek Isles. Why? Oh man, I've wanted to go there for a really long time. And my husband and I have our 20th anniversary coming up this year. 2025 is 20 years of marriage. So we're trying to figure that out. We'll probably end up in Spain and Portugal, which is totally fine. Listen, I'll wind up anywhere in Europe, but if I could go tomorrow, that's where I would go.
Okay. Put on your vision board, Maria.
That's right. Yeah.
Nail salon, hair salon, or spa. You can only pick one place to visit for the rest of your life. What is it?
Hair. I know it doesn't look like it today, but
same here.
I had to kind of throw it back this morning after our walk, but no, my hair is my security blanket. It's been very long, ever since a very young age. I think I've cut it short twice in my life. I love layers. I love kind of long curtain bangs, and it's my security blanket. It's the thing that I take care of the most. And it's a big part of my overall appearance.
And it is fabulous, you guys. So if you're not seeing her on this show, go Google, go on her website, check it out. Her hair is legit beautiful. Okay.
Thank you.
What is something most people don't know about you?
Ooh, I would say I don't talk a lot about the one athletic thing that I can actually do, which is ski, and I'm mildly obsessed with it. But my husband gifted me a ski trip. I'd grown up going on those basic trips when you like church youth camp trips, to ski.
Yes,
But I was
did
a
those.
competitive dancer. And my mom, spent a lot of money investing in dance and taking me to dance competitions. So she would literally put like the fear of Jesus in me. That was like, you cannot if you go ski and then you break an ankle or whatever, sprain your, do something, So I was always very cautious, overly cautious. And I basically never left like the ski lodge, like the lodge there, I would just like sip hot chocolate with my friends, like chit chat. And then I'd maybe like kind of skirt around or like go down a bunny slope. And then I'd be like, okay, I'm done for this trip. That's good. So it was one thing later in life, I kept telling my husband, I was like, I want to ski. I'd never been to Vermont and I really wanted to go to Vermont because my favorite Christmas movie is White Christmas. And I grew up watching it my entire life with my mom. Every year we would watch it. And so I wanted to go to Vermont and I wanted to go ski. And so 7 years ago, he gifted me a trip to Vermont. We skied in Stowe, Vermont, outside of Burlington, and fell in love. And we now ski 2 to 3 times a year. So, and not a lot of people know that because I don't talk about it a lot, but skiing has also taught me a lot about setting goals. It's really helped in that space and for my overall like mental kind of stamina because we don't get to ski that often every year. I set goals to level up and to ski better, faster, and more treacherous mountains. So
yeah. And I love that this kind of started for you in adulthood too. So that's even cooler because I think sometimes we think like with something like skiing, well, I didn't grow up skiing. So like, I don't know. It's not something I do, but like you totally could.
Yep. Yes, exactly. I always challenge people and people tell me that all the time. They're like, oh, I'm too old. I'm like, no, you're not. I started in my 30s. Like, come on, like you can totally do this. It's just that mindset of like, I kind of, you do have to give up a little bit of your, it's humbling. It's humbling when you watch kids
for sure.
And you're in a ski class with like 8-year-olds and you're the adult and they are like teaching you. They're like, it's pizza French fry. It's so simple. Like, I don't understand why you don't get this. But I skied my first black /double black because it like turned into a double black last year and did moguls, did the whole thing. And, I've skied through trees. I've really every year picked something to crush and like to like really own on those trips. And they make for great spring break trips because we live in South Florida. So we don't see snow unless we go on these kinds of trips. So it's cool also to like make those family memories with our kids.
That's awesome. Thank you for sharing that.
Yeah.
All right, Maria, we are ready to wrap up. But before we do, please tell our listeners where they can find you, learn more about you, and connect with you.
Yeah, I think that the best way you can connect with me online is my website, mmsconsultingfirm.com. There you can see kind of all the different programs that I have, how you can create the vision for your individual life, for if you are you and your couple, as a couple, you and your husband, your spouse, your partner, how you two can create a vision, and as a family as well. You can find my workbook on Amazon. It's called Creating a Vision Board. It's a guide to seeing your dreams through to fruition. And it's a really good way to start to engage in conversations, like I said, for yourself, as a couple and as a family. And then on social media, I am most active on Instagram and LinkedIn. So Instagram, my handle is @Maldonado Smith, and LinkedIn, you can find me on there as just Maria Smith. So yeah, I would love to connect with anyone who wants to chat about how to create their vision. So I do virtual sessions, I do family sessions, and I work with businesses and everything on helping them get clear on what are the goals that they want to set in their life and then following through on them.
Perfect. Thank you so much. We will link all of that in our show notes, as well as that amazing gift that you offered earlier. Yes. So thank you. Appreciate you so much. And Happy New Year, everyone.
Yes. Happy New Year. This is so exciting. Looking forward to, crushing some goals and collaborating with you a little bit more too in 2025. Yes. This year's going to be awesome.
You've been listening to the Mama Work It podcast. I hope you've enjoyed this episode and would love if you could take a quick minute to leave me a review on whichever platform you're listening from, and maybe even send a note to a fellow mama friend recommending it. Reviews and recs help this podcast grow and reach more like-minded, awesome moms. And if you haven't subscribed yet, don't forget to click that button so we can stay in touch, girl. By the way, if you haven't checked out the Mama Work It website, please do. There are lots of free resources and great articles there that can help you with the juggle of work life, mom life, wife life, fill in the blank life. So head on over. Thanks again for being part of the tribe. I'll see you soon, but in the meantime, keep on working it, mama.